Hello everyone, my name is Hector Mendoza. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can draw lines in Microsoft Word, in particular with 365. Okay, so you can create some squiggly little lines like this. I'm going to show you 3 ways to do that. You can do a double line, as you see here, single line, another single line. You can get dotted lines, a triple line, one thick line with 2 on top, or 1 on top, 1 at the bottom. Then I'll show you how to do this kind of lines, or you can insert lines. I'll show you how to do that. And when you insert those lines, you have different options that you can change. And you can also insert a table that will allow you to put some lines. So let me go in here, and I'll give you some the advantages and disadvantages of different options you have. So for give me a second here. So what we're gonna do first, there's let me see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, about 8 different ways to hit multiple commands to get to certain lines. And first we're going to do the squiggly line, and there's a couple of ways you can do that. So if you type 007E, hold your Alt key and then hit the X, you get the tildes. Okay, so remember, you type 007E, hold your Alt, and click on X. It's going to give you the tildes, right? Symbol. So you can do that 3 times, or if you just select just the tildes, you hit Control C for copy, or you can go up here and hit copy, and then hit Control V, and hit Enter. You're going to get your that line, right? So another way, if that's, sometimes people have problems doing it, even with the instructions. Sometimes they have a problem doing it for some reason. But when I'm there, it takes me a while to show people how to actually do it. But another way you can do, if you go to Insert, you go to Symbols, and and it doesn't matter what font you're in. So let's go to Times New Roman. Okay. So if you go to Times New Roman, you go Insert, you go up here to the right, hit Symbols, go More Symbols. You're gonna look for that tildes, okay? And actually it's right there because I selected it earlier, and it all depends on your keyboard. Yours might be somewhere up here, but mine happens to be well, it was up there at the top. Now we got to go find it. Okay, so let's see if we can find that thing. There it is, right there. You see, if I click here, hit Insert, it's going to put my tildes. So now, now I'm going to select it, right? So you'll only select the tildes. Hit Control C, hit Control V, because we want it 3 times. Hit Enter. Let me see, Home. So normally, if you hit Enter, I hit Shift Enter, but you hit Enter, it does the same thing. Okay, so that's if you want a squiggly line. The disadvantage, well, it's not a disadvantage, but you don't have a lot of options to make it thick or bold, or it just, no matter. Look, if I select everything and I go and change the font to 72, it changes the lettering, but it don't change the size of the squiggly line. If I want to change it to red, you see the squiggly line still stays black. So there's not a lot of things you can do with that. Okay, so let's go, and now, so let me show you what equal will do. So if you hit equal 3 times, 1, 2, 3. You have to hit your enter key, and then you're going to get that double line, right? And here, if you go in here and change to a 36, see, it really don't do much. Okay, so it's gonna just keep a small little dotted double line. Now, if I hit hyphen 3 times and hit enter, it's going to do the same thing. I mean, just a solid line, excuse me. So hyphen 1, 2, 3, enter. It gives me a double line, right? Now, if I hit a dash, which is shift hyphen, get 1, 2, 3, hit enter, a little bit thicker line. Now, so those are your dashes. If I hit my asterisk sign, which is shift 8, 1, 2, 3, you're gonna get a dotted line. If I hit, some people call it hash or number sign, so basically it's the shift 3 and hit it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and hit enter, you're gonna get a thick solid line in the middle and 2 small lines. Okay, so you know, you can go in here and alter these things. Let's say that you want like, let's say if I select this one right here and I go to paragraph, so if you right click, go to paragraphs, and let's say I want a left indent of 0.5 with a right indent of 0.5, you see I had those two selected, so it indented to the right, indented to the left. Now this time, let's say you wanted to, you go back to paragraph, on the right hand side you want to indent it 1.5, you hit OK. See, it's going to give you indentation on this side. Or we'll do one more, and let's say you don't want indentation on the right, hit 0. Now it'll flush it over. So you know, you have to manipulate it that way, so you could do all of those lines accordingly. So now there are some things that are kind of weird, so watch this. If I hit enter, hit enter, let's say, so you see I did those while there was a line before that. So look what I'm going to, so let's say if I select this one here and I go paragraph and I put a 1-inch indentation on both, 1, tab 1, and hit OK. You see what it did? It created this line on top. So you got to be real careful how you're going to do that. Don't spin your wheels trying to figure out what's going on. So now if I put something here, and I'm just going to put this is a test, and you select from starting from this is a test, you go to your paragraph settings and change left indent 1, tab 1, enter. Normally it won't do that, but you just got to play around with it, and for some reason it didn't do that, but you know, you can play with that. So let's go and enter some more stuff. So let's say you can go in here, hold your shift key, and you know, hit your dash. You can go in here and hit your your dash, your hyphen, okay, or you can go in. Those are the only ones. I mean, because if you hit asterisk, if you hold your shift key and you hit asterisk, you're going to get asterisks. So you could do a line with asterisks if you wanted to. You know, you could do a line of nothing but the number sign or your hashtag. But if you hit enter, you see what it does. It'll create a triple line. So those are other ways you can do this. Now let me show you some other little things. If you use your tabulation, so by the way, you see this little mark you see? If you go in here and you can hide your paragraph marks. You see, if you click here, you see how your marks are gone. I'll always have it on because it helps me determine if I need a double line or line. You know, I have a video about that. But what I was going to show you, if I click here and I put a tab, and I got a video on tabs, so I'm going to put a tab right here. Now this tab, when I double click on it, I want this tab to give me some dotted lines, right? So if I click on this and I hit OK, I can tab and it creates those double lines. Now this time I'm going to change it, and by the way, you know, that line can be altered any way you want. I mean, you can make it you can make it smaller, larger, depends on where you put that tab. So now on this line, on this line, I am gonna tell it I want this kind of line, and I hit tab, and it's gonna give me that, you know, dash line. Now on this one here, I'm gonna select the underline. You hit OK, you hit tab, it gives you an underline. If you, with this particular kind, you can make those bigger or smaller. It's not like those other commands that we were using. If you notice, you see, I can make them thicker and larger. So that's another option you have. But of course, remember your leading's changing when you do, and then you can alter that later. But so I thought I'd show you that. Okay, now another way that you can draw lines, and you got to be careful here. Let me delete everything here. If you go to Insert, Shapes, you have like this line, these are different kinds of lines. This is a line, that's a line. You can turn those into lines. So plus you got all of those, which are part of those up there. Now, and then you have all of them. So let's start with the first one. Yours is going to look different than mine because I got my computer set up a certain way. In other words, when I click, it's going to give me my border that size, and it's always going to be red because I do a lot of drawing, and every time I draw I want it to be red. And I got a video that'll show you how to manipulate Word to do that. We're not going to get into that because it's about a 20-minute deal. Okay, so when I drew this line, I held my shift key. Okay, and this line is not text, it's something I can move around. Those other lines, you can't grab them and move these things like this. Okay, you can't do that with those other lines that we were doing. So you know, you can go back to Insert, Shape, and let's say you want now I'm going to hold my shift key so I can constrain a perfect straight line. You see how it has one arrow on one side? I can go Insert, Shape, and let's say I want a double line. Okay, let's say now I have a shortcut. So let's say you were in layout. I don't have to go to Insert, to Symbols. I have a shortcut here, and that's another video that I have, but all I have to do is click here and draw a line. See, this one gives me a different kind of line. Let's go in here and add some other some other lines. This line here, see, if you click, it's going to give you, it constrains to something like that. Okay, now if you go in here, go back to this kind of line, it's the same thing except it has an arrow. See, you're limited to what that's going to look like. You can go in, and this time we're going to draw. Also, this one constrains. You only have a certain way to draw that line, but you can go in here and draw this thing, and look, so you can draw from, see, I'm clicking, and then I draw, click, I draw, click, and I draw, and now let's say that you're happy with this right here. You hit escape, and that draws that line. And you can get you can do a lot of stuff with it once you learn how to do it. It's really simple doing it if you play with it. You can draw with this one here, you can draw some lines, and then at the end, you can do that. Where this one has a semi-constraint, this one here is freehand. Okay, and I think the last one here would be this one right here. You go in. Now let's say that you drew this, but you actually wanted a double line. I mean a double arrow. You could right click on it and then go to your outline, and you see right here where you have more line options. You could go in here. So this is the end, this is the beginning. So if you go beginning, you can tell it that you want an arrow at the beginning of it. A beginning arrow. That's not doing it. So here, let's go back to that. And then begin arrow. You see, there's an arrow at the beginning and one at the end. So let's say you didn't want one at the end. You see, in arrow, you just take it off. But there's, you'll learn how to play with this. You can also, if you right click on this, you see this endpoints. You can alter this. Let's say you didn't like the way you drew it the first time, you can go in here and alter it. So let's grab one of these lines here, and let me show you something. So if I copy it, those two, and I wanted it thicker, so let's say that I like the color, but I didn't want to redraw it. I could go in here and tell this to be, you know how I had that line where it was thick in the middle with two small lines on top and one at the bottom. You can do the same thing here. Now you'd have to change the size of it to really see the effect on it. So see, if I go in here, see right here I'm changing this, and you see what is happening right here. Same thing, I could go in here and add an arrow on the left, I could add an arrow on the right, or let's say on the right hand side I wanted a dot. You've seen those before, and I could go in here and change the color of it to, well, actually that's not going to do nothing. What you have to do is double click, go in here into your shapes, and turn it green. you know. So there's you can play with it. Now the last thing I'm going to show you, another way, and the beauty about this particular kind of lines is that you can, you know, move them around, you know, and change where those other lines I was showing you. It's just one straight line. Same thing what I'm about to show you. Let's say that you could go in here, go to insert, click table, and let's say you wanted this many lines, because this is all the options you have to have. Now, you know, if you do this, it's going to do that. It's going to give you columns and lines. This way it's going to give you lines. Now, if that's not enough lines, here at the end of it, you can hit tab, 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 or you can hit enter, 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 enter. Well, enter is going to give you spaces like that, but you can hit. Now, if you go to the end, it's still going to do it. So you hit tab, 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 tab. It's going to give you different lines. Let's say that you had this, and you wanted more space between the lines. If I click here, I could give it more space, right? And so let's say I like what I saw here, but this particular line, I wanted more leading. If I went in here into my paragraphing, table properties, and I decided to you see this in well, those left indent, but let's say here, I know another way you can do that. If you go home and you add space before or after, you can go in here and do that. Add space, so you see add space after paragraph. If you notice, that has a bigger bigger line than the other ones. It's kind of hard to see. Also, let's say that you didn't want lines. If you click here, let's say you didn't want the lines on the outside. If you right click, go to table properties, you see on your row column, give me a second here. Right in here, you can go in here, table properties. Nope, give me a second here. Columns. Yeah, it's supposed to be right there. Properties, rows, columns, cells. There's a way. I hardly ever use this. Because this is not how I draw, but I know you can go in here and change your. Oh, here, let's go to table design, okay? And you see your borders. Let's say on the right, you see. Look at the right. You see how it disappears. Look, there's one in the left. So if you go to borders, oops, go to borders, and you hit left, you see. There's no borders on the left. There's no borders on the right. So there's, I don't know if that'll help you or not, but there's one of the options you have. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Hope you become a subscriber. I got a bunch of videos. I think 170 different videos. Some of them for Microsoft Word, Excel. The biggest one is Xactimate and Symbility. If you're an adjuster, that's what I normally teach. Again, thank you for watching my video. I hope this was helpful to y'all.